Welcome back to the Women's Direction YouTube channel. My name is Mackenzie and today's video is actually going to be something a little bit different. I'm going to take you through 10 things that I've learned since working as a freelancer. So I actually started my freelance journey back in 2020, yes, in the middle of a global pandemic. Since then, I've learned heaps about running a business, about making video content, and even about myself, actually. So yes, today I thought I would talk through 10 of the things that kind of stood out to me as the biggest learning curves on my freelance journey so far, in the hopes that, maybe it might help some of you who are either just starting out on your own freelance journey, maybe you've started a small business, or maybe you've already been working as a freelancer for a couple of months to a year. But first, I guess a bit of background on me and why I'm qualified to even talk about any of this. So for those of you who may not be aware, or if you're new to the Women's Direction, it actually started as a university assignment when I was doing my Bachelor of Media Screen and Sound. And since I was kind of really passionate about gender equality in the film industry, I continued doing the blog after I graduated and have been running it sort of behind the scenes during other work since 2016. So after I graduated my degree, I actually went and worked in administration for a film school for about 3 years. Then I left there to be a production assistant for a TV commercials production company. And then the pandemic hit. I was let go of that production assistant job and essentially found myself in a situation where I was kind of forced to go freelance. It had been something that I'd been thinking about doing for a while, but that sort of whole situation was really the catalyst that sort of pushed me into doing it in the first place. And it was at this point that I decided to combine the Women's Direction from just being a blog to also being a video production company. And for the last 3 years, I have been working under the Women's Direction banner as a freelance videographer, making video content and editing it for a whole bunch of different clients. And you can go and check out my website, www.thewomensdirection.com, to see some of the work that I've done in that particular space, if you're interested, of course. And that brings you up to date with where I am today. So let's kick off this list of 10 things I've learnt, starting with number 1. Freelancing is not for the faint of heart. By this I mean that it takes a lot of mental fortitude, motivation, and confidence to kind of go it alone. I wouldn't say that I'm the most confident person in the entire world, nor are my motivation levels particularly high at all times, so I've definitely struggled with the realities of freelance life, but something that I am is resilient and very stubborn when it comes to proving that I can do things on my own. These qualities, I think, have seen me through some of the tougher times over the past 3 years, so if you're not someone that can kind of easily pull themselves out of a rut, then freelancing life may not be for you. Also, if you're the type of person that really enjoys having co-workers around, or like a really loud, buzzy, kind of vibey workspace, and you've got someone next to you that you can talk through your problems with, freelancing life may not be for you. There's a lot of alone time. So, conversely, if you're a type of person that is really productive when it's quiet, or you get easily distracted by things going on, so like having a workspace that is quiet, you can put some headphones on, listen to some music and get a lot of stuff done, then freelancing may be something worth considering. Ultimately, you just need to think about the type of work environment that works for you. When are you your most productive? And after you take that into consideration, you can think about whether the freelance lifestyle might work out for you. Hello, Editing Mackenzie here with my vibey LED light because I edit in the dark like a vampire. I think the point that I was trying to make here is that, if you're not good at self-discipline, then the freelancey life may not be for you. So just think about, I guess, whether you're going to be able to have that self-discipline and, really push yourself and motivate yourself and go out and find clients and not be too afraid to do all of those things, which it's okay to be at sometimes, but if you know that you're not that type of person, then this may not be for you. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Anyways, back to the video. And this leads me into number 2. Whilst the good is really good, the bad can be pretty bad. Freelancing is peaks and troughs. One month you're super busy, making bank, totally stressed out of your mind because you have so much going on. And then the next, it's completely quiet. Your calendar is totally dead. You're wondering how you're going to pay for your rent and why your clients don't love you anymore.
Why don't you love me anymore?
This roller coaster ride of freelance life can be pretty terrifying, and if the good times aren't really, really good, then those bad times can be really bad. I've wanted to give up before and just, go back to working a regular 9-to-5 job just for the stability and the knowing that I've got a job and money coming in every day. But I think about some of the good times that I've had and the really cool people that I've gotten to work with and some of the really cool projects I've gotten to work on. And, most of the time that's enough to pull me out of those days where I, really just want to leave freelancing behind. I also think about the fact that I'm doing something that I love as my job, and also the fact that I've learnt about myself that I really hate working for other people. And, these are the things that you don't really realize until you start going freelance. The bad times can be a bit of a struggle. So something that I have learned is that when things are going really well and the money is flowing, to really put aside a percentage of that so that when those bad times do come, you're covered and you don't need to think about going back to a 9-to-5 to make ends meet. Now, putting away that little percentage of money during the good times also helps with number 3, which is that most of the work you do will not be paid. Now, by this, I don't mean that you'll be working with clients for exposure. And if you are working for exposure, do not work with those clients, okay? It completely devalues the work you do, and you deserve better, sis.
Can I get an amen?
I just mean that the chasing new work, dealing with your finances, answering emails, any personal development, all of that time that you spend doing those things is not being paid. Now, you could choose to factor this into, what you charge for your services, your rates when you have paying clients. Or, if you're doing really well and you're making a lot of money, you could pay someone else to actually come in and do some of that admin for you. But not everybody is going to be at that particular stage in their business. I know I'm not. I do everything myself right now.
I think I need a hug.
This can make you feel like you're not really progressing anywhere in your business, as, it can take multiple months to actually see the fruits of your labor when it comes to chasing new work and having meetings and, things like that.
How many meetings do I have today?
93.
But I've found that actually forcing myself to sit at my desk and do the admin, chase the clients, when I do spend time doing that, I see returns on the efforts that I'm making to be active in my business. And that actually segues nicely into number 4, which is never stop educating yourself. Now, in the first year of working as a freelancer, I actually enrolled in a small business certificate course, which I'm not saying that everybody has to go out and get an official qualification to be a freelancer, definitely not. But I just found, because I didn't know anything about business when I started out, that it was completely invaluable to giving me information that has really helped me run my business over the last 3 years. But there are heaps of other short courses out there, blog articles, YouTube videos, for things like running your business, or even about things that, your business might be related to. So for me, it's videography. So there are heaps of short courses and videos and articles and stuff all about how to use your tech and how to get the most out of it. I would say that if you're somebody who's in the very early stages or are thinking about going freelance, to definitely brush up on your business running essentials. Finding resources on business structures, the financial aspects of running a business, and all of the legalities. I think those are the sort of top 3 areas that I would encourage you to sort of brush up on your knowledge of at this sort of early stage of your freelance life. Also, educating myself in new areas surrounding my business services. So videography is really important to making sure that I'm able to provide a good quality service and that that service continues to get better and better as I grow. So for example, I've noticed that I know very little about After Effects, so that's kind of an area that I've acknowledged that I need to know more about in order to be successful in this area. So I actually went and got a Skillshare account and am going to be doing some lessons on there just to teach me how to use the program. Not sponsored, by the way. I know lots of YouTube videos are sponsored by Skillshare. This one is not. I just think it's a good platform. Skillshare also has lots of things about business on there as well. So if you want to brush up on those business things that I mentioned, that might be a good place to go. Continuing to evaluate your own skill set and acknowledge where the gaps in your knowledge are will really help you evolve as a freelancer and continue to grow your business. Number 5, you won't love every gig. I think doing what you love as a job can kind of trick people into thinking that everything that you do now for work is, going to be absolutely amazing and you will love every second of it. And I found that's not really the case. Now, I've gotten to work with some amazing people. I've done some really cool jobs, but I've also worked with some, okay people on some not very inspiring jobs as well. Now, the best analogy that I've seen about this aspect of freelance life actually comes from Monica Davidson, and she runs this fantastic company called Creative Plus Business. It's actually a really great resource for anyone who has a creative company or is freelancing in sort of a creative aspect. Even if you're not, actually, it's just a really great resource all around. So head on over to Creative Plus Business and check out some of Monica's stuff. They do like webinars and blog articles and there's heaps of stuff over there. Just go check it out. Anyways, she has this great article called Unicorns versus Workhorses. To completely oversimplify the concept, the unicorns are like your passion projects. They're the things that get you really excited but may not necessarily be giving you any monetary value or very little. And then, as you probably figured out, the workhorses are the opposite of that, and they're the jobs that you may not be super excited about, but they're going to help you pay the bills. She says in her article that it's really important to have a good balance of both, and that in your business, it will be super noticeable when you have too many of one or the other. Too many unicorns and you're not bringing in enough money to keep afloat, too many workhorses, and you'll start to kind of lose the passion and inspiration that you had for doing this in the first place. So don't be put off if you're not super inspired by every job that comes knocking at your door. Alright, speaking of services and jobs, number 6 is that pricing your services is an ongoing process. If you're currently working as a freelancer and you're super happy with your prices, then maybe this lesson doesn't really apply to you, but I've found that pricing my services has been one of the most difficult aspects of working as a freelancer. Working as a service provider, there are multiple factors to kind of consider when it comes to pricing what you do. You can think about the average price other people are charging for the same services, your overheads, so the expenses that come out of your business, and then how much income you want to make from each job that you do. Something I've really struggled with in this department is scope creep, which is essentially after you agree on a price for a certain amount of work, you end up with all of this extra work on top of it that you never agreed to. I've been caught out doing multiple hours beyond what was agreed on and ultimately end up underpaid for that job. Something I'm trying to implement to kind of combat this scope creep is an agreement document which I get all of my clients to sign before starting any work. Having official documentation is a really good way to protect yourself, and if you know any lawyers or legal people that can help you draft one up, then all the better. But yeah, just having a piece of paper working similarly to a contract in place means that if the client's asking you for extra work, you're well within your right to charge more for that and you don't end up losing money. Also, if a client refuses to sign your documentation, that is a big red flag and you probably shouldn't be working with them anyway. Which brings me to number 7. Working with bad clients is not worth the money you'll make. Now, I think most of us have probably seen those Reddit threads of artists posting messages of people who have reached out to them asking for free art or for severely reduced prices of art. I find a lot of that is true for freelancing clients as well. Now, they may not necessarily come to you asking for your work super cheap, but there are a couple of red flags to look out for, namely asking you to do way too much within a very short span of time, or potentially saying that, they won't be able to pay you for a little while, or, it's going to take a couple of months, or we can't pay you until you deliver everything we've asked for.
In terms of money, we have no money.
I've also had clients that start really great too, but then the relationship just slowly starts to dissolve and they ask for more and more things, but they don't necessarily want to pay you anymore for those extra things that they're asking for. It's sometimes hard to tell who those clients are going to be, but I guess some things you could do is look into the person a little bit, what's their company like, who have they worked for before, have a look, just, do a quick Google search and see who they are and whether they're a reputable person. I understand that's not completely realistic to do that for every single client, but essentially, I would say listen to your gut. If you're getting a bad feeling about a job, then, that's probably a sign that it's not necessarily going to be a good relationship. The client may be doing everything right from a business perspective, but it's just your personalities that kind of clash. And, at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide who's going to be worth working with or not. But a bad client that's going to cause you anxiety or, extra large amounts of stress is definitely not worth working for the money that you'll make, because all of your other work is going to suffer because you're so stressed out because of this one client. So I guess just take each client as they come, be realistic about it, and if they look like it's going to be a bad relationship, don't hold on to it. Just, as Elsa would say, let it go. Now, this kind of tangentially relates to number 8, which is make sure you have good mental health strategies in place. As I mentioned already in this video, while the good can be really good, the bad can be really bad. And when that happens, it's good to have some coping methods in place ready to go. Now, for me personally, I've had days where I've had no motivation whatsoever, or I'm so full of anxiety that I can't look at my emails or even bear to be near my phone. And depending on what level I'm at on these days, I find that, pushing through and just doing one thing from my work to-do list is enough to kind of pull me out of the rut and set me back on track. If it really is just all too much though, I try to remind myself that it's okay to have bad days. Now, one of the downsides to being a freelancer is that you don't get any paid sick leave at all, but I think sometimes that means that I forget that I'm allowed to have days where I'm unwell. So if I am having a bad mental health day, I like to just take a break and do things that I know are going to make me feel a little bit better. For me, some of the things that help are watching movies that I already know I like, playing video games, or sometimes if I'm feeling up to it, watching other content creators here on YouTube. For you, it could be anything else, but just make sure you give yourself permission to take a break. Because if your mind isn't 100% all there, you're not going to be doing your best work anyway. Number 9 is a continuation of this idea, and that's get out of the workplace. I work from home and am lucky enough to have my very own office space, but when I'm not out on a shoot, I'm in this space a lot. And unless I'm finishing up on editing projects, I don't really need to be in here to answer emails or call clients or do any of that admin stuff, really. It's one of the things from leaving my 9-to-5 job that I noticed the most was that not having a separate place to go to work makes it a lot harder for me to separate my personal life from my work life. Now that I can just stroll out of bed and go straight to the office, I find it really hard to have that work-life balance separation, as whenever I'm anywhere in my house, I never feel totally relaxed. If you've got the money to hire one of those sort of shared desk environments, then that's probably a good solution to this problem. Sometimes I like to visit local libraries as they have comfortable places to sit and normally free Wi-Fi as well, although I will admit that I have not gone to one in a while. If leaving your home to work somewhere else isn't really an option for you, I find just getting out of the house for an hour a day to take a break is a really good way to sort of combat that stagnating feeling of being in the same place for too long. Going for a walk outside or visiting a local cafe, just doing anything that sort of takes your mind off work can allow you to take a break and just reset. And then when you get back into the office, I find, for me at least, my mind is kind of ready to get back into work things again. And finally, number 10, there is never a right time. This was a particularly big one for me, especially at the start of my freelance journey, and I actually wrote a blog post about some of the apprehensions I was having with switching to a freelance lifestyle. But if you're thinking about going freelance and are waiting until you have enough money saved up, or for a calendar-defining time like New Year's or end of financial year, or maybe you're just waiting until your skill set is a bit more established, I'm here to tell you to stop waiting. There will honestly never be a right time, and the more you put it off, the more comfortable you're going to get in your current situation, and eventually the universe is just going to decide for you.
And I choose? What in the world can that be?
But I totally get the apprehension, as I said, and the finance thing was a big one for me. I was really uncertain how I was going to be able to pay for things, but I was in a situation where I was lucky enough to have enough money saved up from working my 9-to-5 job that I could cover my expenses, at least to get going. But you know, if you're in a position where you can pull back on your full-time hours and start adding in some freelance work, or even if you have enough capacity to do both at the same time, then I would say just start doing that. Just get yourself rolling and get yourself used to working as a freelancer, because yeah, there's never going to be a right time to start, and it's going to be scary making that decision to do it, because yeah, working as a freelancer, there are a lot of unknowns. And I would say even in regards to decisions that I've had to make about my business, whether that was changing my website hosting or rebranding, things that I've already done in the past, you know, there was never a right time to do those things. As my own boss and the only person in the business, I don't have to rely on any sign-offs or any other people's opinions about it. You know, I can make the decision to do what I want for my business at any time. So yeah, there really is no right time to do anything. It's just what feels right for you. It's super scary taking risks, and trust me, I totally get it. But you're never gonna know what's gonna come out of something until you try it. And I would definitely say that deciding to go freelance has been one of the best things that I've ever done. Well, that was 10 things that I've learned since becoming a freelancer. There are definitely way more, and I'm still learning and growing as a business owner every day, so there may end up being another one of these videos in the future. Who knows? But I do hope that this video was informative and has given you a bit of an insight into the life of freelancing. Leave a comment if you are a freelancer yourself. What have you learnt on your own journey? Let's get some advice going in the comments. That sounds like a pretty good way to help each other out. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and our next video is going to go back to our regular film-related content. We have Sydney Film Festival coming up next month, so I'm hoping to do a bit of a wrap-up on some of the films that I've seen during the festival. So if that sounds like something you might be interested in, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon, because you'll be notified when our next video goes live. Until then, we have heaps of freelance-related and film content over on the blog, thewomensdirection.com, so go and check out some of our resources and you might learn something else over there. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Now, by this I mean that you won't work for clients for exposure. Exposure? That's a new word. To grow and get better and better as the business progresses. Progresses? So that both you and the client... I think I just whacked the mic.